Hello there. This is my 51, the Victor straight razor. I went, killed this on the corner of my 1200 Sahiro and set the bevel. And we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But there's on the forums, on the Facebook pages, I'm going to keep my 8K a little wet. Uh, there's a vocal group of people that will say, well, learn how to get a really good edge on an 8K before you move on to a 12K or whatever. Learn to shave really well off 8K. And the premise for that, from what I understand, is that they say that if you can shave comfortably on an 8K, then you know every step of your progression is correct. You know your bevel's well set. You went through to the 4K and you got all the scratches off, and you went to the 8K and all. You got a polished edge. Okay, there's maybe some validity to that, but I believe I'm not one of those guys that promotes, okay, don't do anything until you get a good shave off an 8K. I don't think it's necessary. I think that a new honer should get themselves a 20 or 30 power loop, or even a 10 power loop. You don't need a. Everybody's got all these magnification, 100 times magnification and 60 times. Hey, that's good. If you can get that, go ahead. But for me, even just like a 3 power, I got by with 3 power for 2, 3 years. You just really need to see that edge nice and clear and be able to see whether or not um, the plane of the bevel meets together properly, and whether or not you're removing the scratches from the prior hones. You don't need to go down to 100 power magnification and get all those scratches out. Uh, you just need to get a nice smooth bevel off of your prior stone before you move on to the next. But I think a beginner should get himself a loop. They should be methodical about it. They should take and use that loop. They should concentrate on learning touch, learning what the proper pressure on a straight razor is for the different levels of honing. Because basically you start with some pressure, and I'm not talking about bending the living snot out of the steel. It would be almost no pressure on anything else, but with a straight razor, that would be considered heavy pressure. And the thing of it is trying to explain pressure to you is almost impossible for me to figure out how to do. So you have to learn that, but you're not putting a boatload of pressure on the blade so that it flexes. If you do that, you'll have a horrible time. What I would tell a beginner is start out with no pressure and then go lighter as you go through the hones. Because I say that because invariably a beginner will put more pressure on an edge than he or she thinks that they are, because they don't understand no pressure. So, but anyway, if you're methodical, if you use that loop to watch how you're progressing up through the stages, there's no reason to stop at 8K. You can go on to 12K, or you can go on to lapping film, or you can go on to a finisher of some kind. No problem. So I don't subscribe to the idea that all the beginners need to stop at 8K. And make sure they got this perfect shaving edge off an 8K. So, but you can finish on an 8K stone. You can finish and shave off an 8K edge. I'm going to finish on this edge. I'm going to show you the way I do it. There are several different ways people do it. I learned what I'm doing now from several different honers. And you'll learn a bit from me and a bit from some other guys and all of that. But anyway, this is how I do it. What I have done is I've taken this blade and I set the bevel on this razor, and then I pretended like it wasn't set, and I set it again. In other words, I set this bevel until it was popping hairs off of my arm, and then I doubled down on that and spent about as much time on the 1K with really light passes as I did at the beginning, so that I know without a shadow of a doubt the edge on this razor is set absolutely. When you're going just to 8K, you have to be really super methodical in every stage. Then I went to the 4K, and I raised a slurry on the stone. And I didn't raise the slurry because the slurry is going to break down like a J-knot and get finer. I raised the slurry basically, but the slurry on a synthetic, it's not going to break down. It's going to be a 4K slurry or an 8K slurry or whatever. But the slurry keeps you from loading up the stone if you're going to do a lot of honing on that stone. So I raised the slurry and did basically the same thing that I did with the 1K. I honed on that slurry until all of the scratches were gone, and I got kind of a pebbly-like finish on the edge of my bevel, on my bevel. Then I went to clean water and did 2 or 3 passes of 40 with very, very light pressure to kind of finish or pre-finish on the 4K. Now we go to the 8K. And what I'm going to do, when I raised the slurry on the other 2 stones, I used the 400 side of this diamond plate. But now I'm going to use the 1000 grit side because this is an 8K and I'm finishing on this stone, and it may not be, wow, all right, fine, there we go. It may not be, it may not make a difference. Okay, now the 8K sticks like a big dog if you're not covered. Usually I do that under running water, warm or cold water. But this is an 8K stone, and I'm trying to finish, so I want to try to use that 1K, and it may not make a dime's worth of difference, but in my brain says that that's going to be better. And what I'm going to do, just the standard pressure, standard honing. I'm not using very much pressure at all. In fact, it's weight of the razor. And I'm doing kind of an exaggerated kind of swoop. Another thing that I'm doing, I'm not raising the blade off of the stone, but when I put the blade on the razor, I'm kind of rolling pressure from the heel all the way up to the toe as I come across the stone. It's moving. This hand is not pushing down, I'm just balancing. That's 40 passes. Then I'm just trying to make sure that I get out the whole edge of this blade. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take my loop. I'm going to look at this edge. And what I'm wanting to see are the beginnings of the 8K scratches on this blade, and I see them. Still rolling pressure from heel to toe with this blade. Then I need, my slurry is getting low, and I want that slurry. There we go. I want that 1K slurry. And I use the slurry now in this more because I know it helps me remove those scratches from the 4K faster, I think. Some guys might say, well, that's not true. That's all right. A lot of honing is about, now there's tried and true, there's empirical things that, you know, do you have a bevel set? Well, that's not up for interpretation. You either have a set bevel or not. Are all the scratches gone from the last hone? That's not up to interpretation. They are or they're not. But the methods that people use to get there, there's a lot of variables, and some guys believe one thing works, some guys believe another helps. A lot of it is down to the individual. It's what you feel comfortable with, what you feel like makes a difference, because honing is not just numbers. It's in my opinion, it's an art form. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 1K or 8K now, and I'm going to rinse it really good. Get all the slurry that I had on there previously off of it. Put a little water on it. There you go, gentlemen. I'm beginning to back off pressure even more and go very, very light. Now from here on in, I don't want to put any more water on this home. I want to kind of let the water sort of evaporate. I'm looking at the edge under a loop, and all of the 4K scratches are gone off this blade, this edge, and I've got a really, really nice, smooth, polished bevel. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take some of this water off this hone. I just want it barely damp. And now what I'm going to do, wipe the razor off. We're going to do really, really light, very, very light, slow passes. On an almost dry stone. Very, very light. Just kissing it with the razor. Alright. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not. But you see, that's all the water that I had on that stone. Let's look at it through the loop, or I'll look at it through the loop rather. You won't be able to, but that's gorgeous. Alright. I don't know if you'll be able to see. There we go. Gonna be beautiful, I think. What I'll do now, excuse me a minute, I'm gonna take you through the whole process because it's important. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get my strops. I've got 3 different ones. There's a purpose in each one. Stand by just a minute. And I'll try to let you know the first hunt. Alright, the first drop that I've got is fire hose. Excuse me. And I'm going to strop about 60 passes. Actually, let me take his tape off. First, sorry guys. At the beginning, I wasn't planning on showing the stropping. I'm going to start with a fire hose. And I did 60 passes on that. What I would say is you kind of want to treat at the 8K honing similar to what you would do if you were stropping for a conical. That means higher laps. So I've got my Tony Miller strop here. What I want to do, every strop you want to kind of I'm going to do 120 laps on this leather. Don't be afraid to stop if you have to. If it starts feeling wonky, something like that. Okay, that's about 120 passes on that. And now, what I'm going to do, that's what I would do normally when I honed any razor. Now what I'm going to do is I have this piece of leather here. It's I don't even know what kind of leather it is. I believe it's probably horse. Or not horse, I'm sorry, cow, steer. And I'm going to do what I normally, But this is kind of like a finish strop for me. It's really glassy slick. And I'm going to do 20 or 30 passes. Just a fantastic piece of leather. Absolutely love that strop. Alright. And so now, let's see what I don't know if I can get this in the picture for you guys. But I can't see, so you have to kind of present the hair in a certain way in order to really get a really beautiful hanging hair test on it. But if you saw, it is slicing the snot out of those. It's popping the snot out of those hairs. There's the edge. And I will shave with this today and post. If I can get it up here. Caught me without combing my hair. I don't care. This is morning. I just got up, and the first thing I did after I took a shot for my diabetes and got something to eat was start honing. So that's the deal with that. But I will shave with that edge, and on camera live today, and post up as soon as I can. That shave. It'll be great. No problems whatsoever. No paste, no sprays, none of that stuff. Just 1200, a 4K, and an 8K, and technique, and some good stropping. And that'll be a fan. I've got like 3 days worth of growth. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I do. It'll go through it with no problem. All right, God bless you. I'll talk to you later. You can finish on an 8K. Later.